talked about Daryl Jackson as a guy who is really just from a year ago. How far he's come? I guess can you talk about him?
Yeah, no, I mean, Daryl's done a great job from, I mean, you know, you look at a year ago coming new into the program and stuff, and like what that guy put on display today compared to what it looked like 365 days ago is pretty remarkable. Just in, you know, the way he's changed his body. I mean, you got a guy who's, you know, 325, 330 pounds, lean, strong. Like, you know, some of the numbers he's put up in the weight room this week have been really impressive as we get into our testing phase. And it's just a testament to the consistency he's put over the course of this last year of trying to become the player he's able to become.
You talked a bit about doing it different with freshman newcomers. Can you talk about that process and how those guys handled the last couple weeks?
Yeah, you know, so when our newcomers come in, you know, especially, you know, we get so many mid-year guys, whether they're straight out of high school, whether it's transfers, you know, we don't know those guys yet. So when we start off tour duty initially, put those guys all in the same group together, allows us to get better eyes on them. It allows them to try to learn the process a little bit, and then kind of as they progress, as they grow, as they show that they're on par with like the veteran guys, then we'll slide them out of the group and start integrating them in with the veteran group. But it gives those guys a chance for a little bit of learning curve to make sure they transition safely into the program. Plus, gives us a chance to truly get an eye on those guys and what they're capable of coming in the door.
Who are one of the newcomers who stood out to you?
Man, I mean, really? I mean, this year, like, that's a long list. I mean, what's been so cool this year is like you see the guys that come in. You know, if you want to start with the transfer guys first, just from a culture fit, those guys step in and you feel like they're guys who've been here for years already, and that's a testament to the guys who've been here, setting that culture and be able to take those guys in, bring them under their wing, show them the way we do things here, and then you get those guys who come out of high school, how prepared those guys are coming in to be able to step into our program, to be able to push themselves to meet that standard and the learning process that goes with that. And like this transition for those veteran guys and those young guys this year has been about as smooth as I've ever seen, with just an excellent job of the coaches evaluating the right, not just the right talent of kids to bring in, but honestly the right head and the right heart to bring in.
For guys like Hakeem, who this is their second time around doing it, how different is it for them, and how much of a leap do they make from year one to year two?
It's huge. I mean, your first time you come out here and experience this, there's so much going on. It is chaotic. There's action. There's yelling. It's loud. It's fast. It's hard. You're tired. And those guys are just swimming, trying to get their head above water, trying to just get to the next rep. You know, once you've been through it before and you come back the second year, you kind of have that peek behind the curtain a little bit. And it's still fast and it's still chaotic and it's still hard and you're still tired and all those things. But you have the understanding at least of the why we're doing it, what you're ultimately getting out of it. And you know you've been through it before, so you've built that confidence through the work that you put in that you know that you can do it again. And so those guys, we see that from year one to year two. Year one, you're just trying to get yourself through it. You're trying to survive, right? You have a much better chance going to that year two of now like, I know I can get through this. Can I help you get through this too? Can I do a better job now of encouraging my teammates? Can I start to assert myself as a leader in different positions and stuff? And that's the biggest jump from year to year with guys. And then by the time you become, you know, Shaheem Brown, and you've done this is your fourth time going through this. Now it's like, you know you can do the work. And that's not how a guy like that gets evaluated through his tour duty. The way a guy like that gets evaluated is, who are you making better in this process? Who are you leading this process? What does your vocal leadership look like? Are you picking those guys up? Are you showing the guys a standard? And then when you're up in your rep, are you setting the standard that everybody else needs to aspire to? So that's kind of the difference in the progression as they go through this year to year.
You mentioned Shaheem. Who else has stood out to you in that role?
You know, this year, like top to bottom, like it's been a really, really strong showing. Even from the first one out of the box all the way through today, just the level it's been at and the things we're able to coach now. Like so much of the baseline standard stuff, the guys either handle it right from the jump, so it doesn't need to be coached to begin with, or there's oftentimes those guys already coaching each other on before as a coach and get a chance to open your mouth, which is huge. And that comes from a lot of those guys who have been around and been through it. You know, you see, the Shaheems, the DJ Lundys, those veteran guys where this is their second, third, fourth time they've been through tour duty. They become the veteran guys where they can kind of show and display and model what that needs to be for all those guys, for the almost 50 guys this year who had never even seen tour duty before. So, I mean, you come out here with a roster of 100 plus guys, and what you realize coming in day one between, if guys got here last summer, guys that got here mid-year, it's a big number of guys. So you puts pressure on those older guys. When you look around and you look in your line, and I'm one guy out of 6, and these 5 guys have never done this before. Well, that's pressure on you. You better show them how to do it, right, if you want the end of the day to go well.
Josh Farmer, where's his size speed combo for you guys?
Josh did a great job. Same thing, kind of like Daryl, a guy who you know what their capabilities are as a player, but those guys still pushing hard to be able to become ultimately what their potential is able to be. So you see the work those guys have put in, the way they've changed their bodies, they've been here. I mean, everybody forgets, like the day Josh Farmer showed up here, he was like 250 some odd pounds, to a guy now that's 312, 315, somewhere ballpark right in there. So, and the way he can move with that weight, go in the weight room, watch the loads that guy moves in there and stuff, it's been impressive. Once again, the consistency over time those guys have put in to become what they're starting to become.
I think a few weeks ago, Coach Norvell said he thought the start to the all-season program is as good as it's ever been.
Oh, I would agree with that 100%. Now, part of that is we played a game on the very last day of January, and we were back in here rolling on the 9th. So you don't have a whole lot of time to not get in very bad shape between there. But it wasn't so much about still coming in good shape. It's been their approach to it. You have a young team with a lot to prove. And those guys understand that. Even the veteran guys who've been around, they have a lot to prove. And the way those guys have embraced and approached this work on a daily basis, man, it's made this winter program maybe one of the most fun winter programs I've ever been around. Last year was different. You had a very veteran group, guys that have been through it, guys that were proven. Whereas you look at this year's team, there's a lot of guys out there that are still out to try to make a mark and make a name for themselves in college football. And you see that day in, day out of where their intentions are by the way they come to work.
You weren't surprised by a lot of what you saw last week at the combine from the guys up there, but I guess what does it mean to see so many guys go up there and turn heads? And how much can you point to that for these guys and say this is where you build a lot of that to have much success there?
Yeah, no, I mean, the chance to go see those 12 guys go, one, to send 12 guys to the combine in the first place is a big accomplishment, right? And then, to see 11 of those guys be able to go there, perform at a high level, some of those at the highest level, right? That's awesome for those guys. Because, I mean, you see them put the work in here over, you might be Keon where you're here for less than a year. Some of those guys have been here since day one, right? With D-Lo and guys like that. And to be able to see, I've seen the work. I've seen all the stuff that's happened in the dark behind the scenes. To be able to see them go out there on that stage and perform to the level I know they're capable of, that's huge. Because every year you have guys that can go to the combine and have done great things, and just because of the situation, because of the moment, or whatever, they don't perform to how they could, the level to what you maybe expected them to. To see those guys go out and do exactly what we knew they could do and excel like that, that's huge. And then obviously for our guys here, those guys are running their 40s. That's one of the few times we pop the TVs on in the weight room. Those guys are glued to that TV, and like that place goes nuts when those guys put those numbers up. So all that does for those guys, it's modeling what they want to be, right? It's building belief that you're building the foundation here that can take you to there and have you prepared to perform those moments. The biggest thing, like you watching the field work at the combine, not just how well those guys move, watch the way they finish drills. Where do you think that came from? You guys just saw it today, right? That's the foundation of what we do, and that carries over to that level. That's huge for those guys.
A guy like Benson, Coach Norvell said is a leader day one out here. Can you tell that the way he's in the weight room? Is it
100%. I mean, we'll come out here because he lives in that second lift group during the day. So if we're out here today, we're doing speed work with that first group. He's already coming out here. He's on the jugs machine beforehand. Like that guy literally lives in the building. Whether it's doing extra stuff with Jackson with the sports science stuff in the weight room, out here getting extra work with the jugs, bringing other guys into that fold. Like he is a rounded part of the fabric of what's going on at all times.
Brock Lynn looks bigger coming into year two. What growth have you seen from him, and then also from Luke Romanhawk and then DJU coming in?
Yeah, no, I mean, you have a great group of one very veteran quarterback, then a bunch of young quarterbacks, right? And like that group, like just the chemistry within that group, how tight they are, the way they train together, the way they work together is awesome. Like all those guys push each other. You have some guys that can maybe elite in this area, another guy who maybe he's a little better than you in this area, so that they feed off each other, push each other well, and they've done a great job. Those guys are soaking up the wisdom of college football that DJ has to share. You got a guy like Brock who's an unbelievable worker who can set the tone with how he comes to work every day and what he'll do. I mean, if you come in the weight room and you didn't know who Brock Glenn was, you was watching, you watch that guy lift, you assume that's a good linebacker, right? You see the way he's moving, how explosive he is, the way he attacks it. You're like, oh, it's a quarterback. So seeing those guys work, man, it's been awesome.
Coaching staff, we've had continuity now for a number of years.
Yeah, I had the same 4 guys that I brought here day one are all still here.
So how does that help you?
It makes a huge difference. I mean, one, those guys, just the long-term relationships they have with our team, a full understanding of what the culture is from Coach Norvell all the way down to the ground level of what that needs to be. And when you have guys who've been in that long, it helps me because I don't have to coach coaches. they've been here as long as I've been here, right? They're just as much bought in and have as much invested here as anybody else does. And so it allows us to kind of do some things with them being so familiar with our program, with, from the size of groups that we can coach to some of the things that we can implement to the ownership that I can give those guys within our program. That's huge for us to be able to keep that continuity. No different than it would be on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. The longer you keep one group together, the tighter that group becomes, the better the communication is, the better the relationships are, and ultimately if you have those things on point, you can accomplish more when it comes time to actually get on the grass, coach, and implement what it is that you do.
Was the locks of love the plan from day one when you started growing the hair out? Or was it...
So when I first started growing the hair out, I got a couple weeks behind when the summer program started to shave my head. And I was like, I'm just going to let it go. And then we started winning a whole bunch of football games. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let this ride for a while. And as it was a little bit longer, I'm like, I'm going to stick it out till it's long to donate. So here, kind of, second week or so of the winter program, it hit the length it needed to be. So I was more than happy to get it shaved off as quickly as I could.